Welcome to another episode of The Impact of AI and Data. Our episode today is sponsored by WILDA, Women Leaders in Data and Artificial Intelligence. Our guest today is Marcia Williams, coming to us from London, England. Are you still in London, England as of right now?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Fantastic. You are the current Chief Product Officer for Greyfly. And I think what's really interesting about that is our podcast really focuses on how AI and the AI technologies really impact us on a day-to-day basis. And
Yes.
Greyfly is very specific around the niche of project management, but specifically project intelligence. So I'm really excited to have you here today to talk about this.
Okay. Thank you, Melissa. And thank you for inviting me.
Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about you. You have a very lengthy career, and a lot of that has been on the consulting side. In fact, some of the companies you've worked with, I've worked with, KPMG. And as a part of that, your background has been very IT audit, really focused on that side of the, that side of the wall. But Greyfly, the company you've been with for the last 5 years, is very different. It's completely on the opposite end. It's on the supplier side, not the buyer side. And it's also considered a startup. So I'd love to understand what lured you away.
What lured me away? I guess my career, as you said, has been quite extensive. It's always been in the field of IT audit and consulting. I ventured into that area because my background was in mathematics, statistics, and computing. And at the time, IT audit consulting was a good fit for me. At that time, we were talking over 25 years plus ago. Machine learning, data science just wasn't really around to the extent that it is now. So I've always had aspirations to create something, to do something aside from just being like a regular employee. But I decided to pursue my career mainly because you get bound by the limitations of society, I guess. So it suited me at the time to pursue a career in that field, but I always had aspirations to create something, to build something, to do something new. So the way Greyfly got started actually is because my co-founder and I were on the same master's course at the London School of Economics. We graduated in 1992, and we had a reunion in 2017 where we met and discussed where we were going with our various careers, what our dreams and aspirations were, and how the things that we learned about on our course were starting to come into fruition. So it was very much geared towards, course was an analysis, design, and management of information systems. So we very much looked at things like artificial intelligence and the social aspects of information systems. So yeah, when we both started talking about that, we realized that there were some commonalities between us, so we could see a good application for AI in the sphere of project management.
Well, I have, long time ago, I understood the value of project management, but recognized that data is really the heart of everything. It's the heart of the organization, and even more so in project management. And I had a saying early on because I kept hearing people telling me, oh, I was on a bad project. I was on a bad project, or I was on a good project. And after a while, I came back with, well, I don't think there's any such thing as a good or a bad project. It's just really poor project planning or poor project management. And unfortunately, the root cause of that was data. We didn't have the right data at the right time. We couldn't make the right decisions. We didn't fully understand the concept of are we behind? Are we on schedule? Can I move resources from one work stream to another? And it was just, even today, we're in 2022 and I still see project management in Excel. I still see people, well, I feel like I'm on target, or I feel like I'm doing okay, but there's nothing hard data to come up, to support that, which is why I was really interested in the company and the product, because it's, project intelligence and focusing on AI technologies within that project management space. And on top of that, you are the Chief Product Officer of Greyfly. So I'd love to know a little bit more about the company.
Okay.
And specifically the
So,
product.
okay. So at Greyfly, we've built an intelligent project prediction platform, which basically takes project data. We run it through our machine learning algorithms to generate predictions on the outcomes of projects, whether they're likely to succeed or fail. And then we also, the thing that makes us slightly different, our USP, is we're also looking into, how do our models come up with these predictions so that we can give our customers greater transparency, better understanding of what's happening within our machine learning models. So all of that helps project executives to make better decisions about how they should direct their projects by harnessing that data in a more automated fashion. They're able to reap the benefits of seeing where the project is likely to go in the future.
So if I'm gonna put my I'm client hat on, and it sounds fantastic, but I also have this this apprehension in the back of my mind that in order to get this up and running, it's going to require that somebody has to do a lot of data entry, because we haven't used this kind of project before, or this type of intelligence before. How challenging is it for someone to get started? Like, do I need to give you all of my historic project data, which I probably don't have?
Right. So we actually started Greyfly, well, it was born 5 years ago. We probably started it in its full strength about 3 years ago. And during that time, we ask our customers to provide us with their historical data, but we work with our customers to build that history up over time as well. So many companies do have the challenges that you described, whereby, oh, this is really daunting. Oh, you're going to ask me for a lot of data. So we try to start off small with structured data set and work our way up to a bigger data set, a bigger problem over time. So we may just look at planning data, finance data, but over time we are building up a bigger picture of what's happening within your projects.
And then I heard you mention the word predictive.
Yes.
So if I forward this scenario along, I've got the data in there, recognizing that it was probably a little bit more of a heavy lift than I would want, but that's normal because the idea is not short term. It's we're thinking long term here.
Yes.
So now that I've kind of got that foundation out of the way, I suspect that I'm not going to have to keep entering a whole lot of data going forward. But then I'm also really wanting to understand where the predictiveness is coming into play here.
Right. So we do take the benefit of the historical data that you do have to build the predictive model, but then we're also building onto that model over time with data as the projects progress, as the portfolio of projects progress. So that history is expanding, so to speak. And the prediction, the models themselves can be based over a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending upon the quality of the data that the client has. And the customers do work with us to enhance the quality of their data and improve the predictions over time.
If I'm if I'm giving, if I'm collaborating with you guys on an IT project, say cloud procurement, application software, um, would you have similar, sanitized customer data that could be leveraged so that, I don't have a lot of historical data to give you, but I want to try to ramp up as quickly as possible. Is that an option?
So we are working with some customers where the access to their data is slightly restrictive, where we are using synthetic data, potentially creating synthetic data to supplement certain data points and create a view of what's happening within their projects, within their organization. So synthetic data is an avenue that we are also exploring and doing at the moment. Yeah.
I'm someone who's been a program manager, had to work with individuals and a lot of project data or lack of project data. When you apply that machine learning, those AI technologies that we talked about to this project management approach, what are you able to help highlight that maybe 5 years ago, without this combination of project management AI technologies, that you couldn't do before? So let me recap. So what can you do now that you couldn't do before?
Yeah. So the key deliverable or result is whether we expect a project to succeed or fail within the parameters that are currently set, and then if those parameters need to change. So those parameters or features might be the length of the project, the amount of budget that's in the project, or the number of resources that are being allocated at that sort of level. And then there's the ability to drill down further and look closer at the phases within a project and what's happening there. And we also able to, well, the other thing that we are focusing on very much now is being able to tell you why this project is going to take a little bit longer and what particular features are driving the why. So this could be a project which is a large project where an agile methodology is being used. There's a particular project sponsor on board, and that combination of factors may contribute to that project possibly taking a little bit longer. So those are the sorts of things that we're looking at.
I think it sounds like that's really where the heart of this is. I can look at data and I can, if I've got the right level of data, I could probably tell you that we're going to miss dates, or we may be behind or ahead, but I can't really drill into or provide you the context of why we're ahead. And if we're ahead, which work streams are ahead? And could that allow me to shift some resources to areas that are not, ahead, that are maybe behind? And I think that sounds like a value that I think that's it's a really good observation, something that we still probably can't do, even if we're using Excel today. But even if we had, really good project management software, we're still missing a few of those key ingredients that I think you've highlighted really well here.
Yes, and that's the direction our customers are driving us in, very much so, and that's the direction that we are taking primarily in the next 12 months to develop further. So it's really important for us to deliver on that.
I do talk to a lot of people and a lot of companies, and lately I've been talking to a lot of startups, because it's the startups that are really embracing these AI technologies. And someone the other day just mentioned the exact same thing, that as a startup, you have this vision of where you want to go, but you have to be fluid enough to allow your customers to take you where they want to go. And I heard you say exactly that.
Yes, because obviously, my co-founder and we started this with a particular vision in mind. And that vision, the core vision is pretty much still there, but our customers are telling us more. They're telling us more about what they need and more about what they expect. And it's they're really pushing the boundaries more.
Great.
And challenging us to deliver those sort of expectations. So trying to give them the reasons why their project is likely to fail is quite a challenging ask. Yes.
I want to pivot a little bit more towards your role and kind of the back end of the product. So as the product officer, you are, and correct me if I'm wrong, driving the vision between what's achievable versus what your customers, where they want you to go, and be able to outline that roadmap, but then be able to also have the resources to execute it. Is that
Yes,
a proper?
that's right.
Okay.
Yes.
So then the executing part, as a startup, it's oftentimes, difficult to get all of the types of resources you need, particularly when we're talking about AI technologies. It's the data scientist and someone who's got some, mathematical, understanding, which you have, so that's brilliant. Writing the AI models, understanding how to test them, understanding the context of the testing. How have you guys been able to ramp up? And is it just the traditional, I just hiring more people, or have you found, alternative creative ways of solving that?
We've had to work with a really small team. There's so much more that we would like to do and throw a resource at, but we've had to work with a small team and work quite efficiently. I guess what's happened over time is we have trusted individuals that we're working with that understand what we're trying to achieve and therefore can deliver on our expectations a little bit better than if we recruited somebody from scratch. But yes, it is a challenge for a startup to get the right resources, very much so. And it's very challenging to try to fulfill that vision with very limited resources. So you have to concentrate on key things that you think is going to give you the most bang for the buck with the customer.
Are a lot of your resources, because lately, we're still in this virtual world. There was a comment made that because we are, because globally we're more inclined and more comfortable with this virtual environment, that it's been an advantage to a lot of the startups and small businesses because it's easier to find the resources they need globally now than it was to try to find them in a pocket of London or a pocket of UK or, maybe across the water in France. Has that opened up your, the opportunities for resources?
I would agree with that a lot. Our resources are based in, India, and there's a couple of local resources. But on the development side, they're based in India currently, which, as you said, a lot of startups are doing. I don't think we could be as flexible and agile as we are now if we didn't have the ability to recruit from overseas. We do recruit in the UK as well. We have a desire to develop local talent, but there is, you are constrained in doing that. But there is a desire to develop local talent as well, particularly in young people.
Yes, and we have a large, here in the US, we have a much larger demographic coming into the workforce than we had with, what we labeled the baby boomers. But I understand is that a trend that's also going on in the UK? This next generation coming out of college is larger than, say, the previous generations?
I'm not sure about that. I do know that in terms of data science resources in the UK, it's a very competitive market, and you can't. It's difficult to get the right people. Your question implied that there was a big pool of people to choose from. I'm not so sure that that is the case. Maybe with the particular skills that we're looking for, there's a lot of competition out there, and yeah, I think I don't think the market is as big for a startup as it may seem to be.
Okay. As we wrap up, Marcia, is there anything that you'd like to leave behind? Any advice for other women such as yourself that are perhaps interested in taking that leap of faith and jumping into a startup?
Yeah. Okay. Just to be brave and to do it. I think I had aspirations, as I said early on in during my career, but it just wasn't the right time. I hadn't met my co-founder. Things just hadn't fallen in place. So I think if you find that you're in a position where things are falling in place, and I think everybody knows when that happens, that you should run with it. Don't ignore it. It's not a coincidence, and it may not happen again. So yeah, try and run with the opportunity and make the most of it. And it's long, it's hard, it's not for everyone, but I think there's a lot to be gained in terms of challenging yourself, stretching yourself, and bringing out the best that you can in other people as well, and trying to help your customers to the best of your ability. There is a lot to be done.
I think this is a good fit for you. You've had a smile on the entire time we've been talking. So and you've been there for 5 years. So it sounds like it was the right place for you.
Yes, I think it is. Yes. Yes.
Well, Marcia, thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to watching your journey over the next couple of years.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Thank you.